In a quaint, tree-lined neighborhood where everyone knew each other, Karen had lived for many years. This community prided itself on its charming houses and beautiful gardens, creating an atmosphere of togetherness. Residents often gathered for block parties and helped each other with home repairs, ensuring that their neighborhood looked its best. However, within this close-knit bubble, there was a strong emphasis on maintaining the neighborhood's aesthetics. Karen, a passionate advocate for the visual appeal of their surroundings, took great pride in her own yard, which was always impeccably decorated. She believed that every home should adhere to a certain standard of beauty. Therefore, when her neighbor installed a wheelchair ramp for his son, who had recently become disabled, Karen's sense of community harmony was shaken. To her, the ramp clashed with the lovely facades and colorful flower beds that defined their street. Determined to restore her vision of the neighborhood, Karen began voicing her objections loudly. She felt it was her duty to protect the neighborhood's aesthetics and urged the Homeowners Association, HOA, to take action against the ramp, unaware of the unfolding consequences of her demands. As Karen's complaints echoed through the neighborhood, the reality of her neighbor's situation came to light. The family had recently faced a major hardship when their son was diagnosed with a debilitating condition, leaving him unable to walk. This life-changing event sparked the urgent need for a wheelchair ramp to help him access their home safely and independently. The family understood that installing the ramp was not just a convenience, but a matter of necessity for their son's well-being. With the help of medical professionals, the family applied for the necessary permits to build the ramp, fully aware of the guidelines set by local regulations. After submitting their application, they received quick approval, which was a relief in light of their struggles. The ramp was designed with accessibility in mind while trying to comply with overall safety codes. However, Karen saw the ramp as an eyesore, dismissing its purpose and significance. While she focused on aesthetics, the family was grappling with the daily challenges of their new reality. Little did she know that her insistence on its removal would lead to a confrontation over rights and discrimination that would ripple through their tight-knit community. Karen's objections to the wheelchair ramp grew louder as she became more determined to restore what she saw as the neighborhood's charm. To her, the ramp disrupted the visual flow of their street's well-manicured lawns and picturesque homes. She frequently gathered her neighbors to discuss her concerns, framing the ramp as a blight on their community's beauty. They listened, some even sharing her sentiments, while others were conflicted about the emotional weight of the ramp's need. During HOA meetings, Karen passionately argued that the aesthetic guidelines established by their association should be upheld. She insisted that bending the rules for one family's personal circumstances would set a dangerous precedent. "What's next?" she asked dramatically during one meeting. "Will we allow other unsightly features just to accommodate everyone's needs? We can't let our lovely neighborhood fall apart." As Karen continued rallying support for her cause, she drafted a formal complaint to the HOA, demanding immediate action to have the ramp removed. Ignoring the realities faced by her neighbors, she clung tightly to her ideals about appearance and order, blind to how her demands would impact both the family and their right to live freely in their home. Her quest for neighborhood perfection was only beginning to create ripples of dissent. As the conflict escalated, tension simmered between Karen and her neighbor's family. The wheelchair ramp became more than just a physical structure, it symbolized a deep divide in their community. The family, already grappling with the challenges of their son's condition, felt hurt by Karen's relentless pursuit to have the ramp removed. Each time they saw her organizing neighbors against them, it felt like another blow to their dignity. Meanwhile, Karen grew increasingly frustrated as she perceived her neighbors' support waning. She felt that defending the neighborhood's aesthetics was a personal mission. Late at night, she would lie awake, pondering how to garner more backing for her cause, questioning whether the community still shared her values. The emotional toll of this conflict weighed heavily on both sides. The family often sat together, discussing their fears and frustrations, about how they might lose their home or be ostracized because of a structure meant for safety. They wished for compassion but faced judgment instead. Each confrontation became more hurtful, revealing how differing priorities could drive wedges between neighbors who once shared laughter and friendship. Tensions were becoming unmanageable, threatening to fracture the very fabric of their beloved community. Feeling increasingly isolated and hurt by Karen's actions, the family decided it was time to take a stand for their rights. They knew they could not let the situation continue without challenging the injustice they faced. After discussing their options, they reached out to a lawyer who specialized in civil rights and disability cases. The family felt a glimmer of hope as they explained their situation, from the emotional toll of the conflict to the necessity of the wheelchair ramp for their son's daily life. During consultations with the lawyer, they learned that they had legal grounds to protect their rights. The lawyer informed them that under the Fair Housing Act, they were entitled to reasonable accommodations for their son's disability, which included the ramp. Encouraged by this information, the family felt empowered to fight back against Karen's opposition. The lawyer explained the process of filing a civil rights claim against both Karen and the Homeowners Association. This revelation marked a significant turning point for the family. They began to draft their complaint, feeling stronger together than they had throughout this entire ordeal. With each passing day, they solidified their resolve, understanding that standing up for their rights was not just about the ramp but about dignity and respect in their own home. With their lawyer by their side, the family formally filed a civil rights claim against the Homeowners Association, emphasizing discrimination based on their son's disability. They asserted that the HOA had not only failed to accommodate their son's needs but had also fostered an atmosphere where Karen's objections were prioritized over essential accessibility requirements. The family's lawyer pointed out that under the Fair Housing Act, any rule that could disproportionately impact individuals with disabilities was subject to scrutiny and may be deemed unlawful. The claim outlined how Karen's actions went beyond personal preference for aesthetics. They posed significant challenges for the family's ability to navigate their own home safely. The emotional toll and the unnecessary stress created by ongoing conflict were also highlighted in the documentation. Through this legal action, the family aimed not just to protect their right to use the ramp, but to challenge the notion that aesthetics should ever come before a child's safety and well-being. As news of the claim spread through the neighborhood, it sent shockwaves through both supporters of Karen and others who sympathized with the family's plight. This pivotal moment empowered other residents to consider the balance between community standards and compassion, shifting conversations in unexpected ways. In response to the civil rights claim, the Homeowners Association found itself in a precarious position. Faced with the potential for legal action, they convened an emergency meeting to discuss their options. Tensions ran high as board members debated whether to support Karen's stance or to acknowledge the family's legitimate needs. Many in the community had already expressed their discomfort with Karen's approach, urging the HOA to reconsider its priorities. Ultimately, the HOA decided to stand by its previous decisions, believing it would be more prudent to defend their aesthetic guidelines. However, this decision only fueled the fire, leading to a backlash within the neighborhood. As word spread about the HOA's inaction, a growing number of residents began to question their own values and the implications of supporting an exclusionary stance. The family, feeling empowered by their claim, continued to rally support, while Karen's influence began to wane. The conflict brought to light deep-seated issues within the community about acceptance and the responsibilities towards one another. As legal action loomed against the HOA for discrimination, the neighborhood became increasingly divided, with neighbors taking sides in a battle that transformed their once harmonious environment into a battleground of ideals and emotions. After weeks of tension and uncertainty, the day finally arrived for the court's decision regarding the family's civil rights claim against the Homeowners Association. The atmosphere in the courtroom was thick with anticipation as both sides presented their cases, with the family's lawyer passionately outlining the importance of inclusivity and accessibility versus Karen's unwavering focus on aesthetics. When the judge delivered the ruling, it was a moment that would echo through the community. The HOA was ordered to pay damages for discrimination against the family. The judge emphasized that no one should face barriers due to their disability and that communities thrive when they prioritize understanding and acceptance over rigid standards of appearance. This landmark decision sent waves of relief through the family, who felt vindicated in their fight for dignity. In the aftermath, Karen was removed from all decision-making roles within the HOA, reflecting a growing recognition within the community that compassion must take precedence over superficial concerns. As news spread, neighbors began to rally around the family, offering support and solidarity. The ramp was soon upgraded and painted bright blue, transforming it into a vibrant symbol of resilience and hope, as well as a reminder of the importance of creating inclusive spaces for everyone. In the wake of the court's ruling, the Homeowners Association took immediate steps to ensure that discrimination would not occur again. Recognizing the damage done by Karen's actions, they convened a special meeting to discuss necessary reforms. The board voted unanimously to remove Karen from all decision-making roles, emphasizing the importance of fostering an inclusive environment for all residents. To further promote understanding and inclusivity, the HOA decided to implement new training programs for its members. These programs would focus on disability awareness and accessibility, aiming to educate residents about the needs of individuals with disabilities and the legal obligations to accommodate them. Additionally, the HOA revised its guidelines to ensure that any future modifications made by residents would be evaluated with a compassionate lens, prioritizing accessibility alongside aesthetics. They also organized community meetings to engage residents in discussions about inclusivity, encouraging open dialogue and collaboration. As these changes unfolded, the neighborhood began to heal. Residents who had once sided with Karen started reaching out to the family, offering apologies and support. The upgraded blue ramp stood as a beacon of hope, symbolizing not just resilience but a newfound commitment to creating a community where everyone felt valued and included. With the conflict simmering down, the family decided to take a moment to celebrate their hard-won victory and the community's newfound commitment to inclusivity. They organized a small gathering in their yard, inviting neighbors to join in a celebration of diversity and support. As part of the festivities, they unveiled the newly upgraded wheelchair ramp, which had been transformed into a bright blue structure that popped against the backdrop of their home. The vibrant color not only represented a bold step toward acknowledging their son's needs but also served as a powerful symbol of unity within the community. Neighbors arrived with decorations and refreshments, eager to show their support and share in the joy of the occasion. Many expressed their desire to learn more about accessibility issues and how they could be more inclusive moving forward. As laughter filled the air, conversations blossomed around the ramp, now seen as a beacon of hope rather than a source of division. People shared stories of their own experiences with disability and barriers, creating an atmosphere of understanding and acceptance. The focus shifted from aesthetics to the deeper value of community support and connection, marking a significant turning point in the neighborhood where everyone felt empowered to belong. In the aftermath of the conflict, the incident fundamentally changed how the community perceived disability and aesthetics. The vibrant blue ramp became a powerful reminder that accessibility should take precedence over superficial concerns. Many neighbors who once aligned with Karen began to realize the importance of inclusivity and how their previous judgments could harm others. Conversations shifted from focusing solely on visual harmony to recognizing the diverse needs within their community. Residents started attending workshops on disability awareness, eager to understand better the challenges faced by individuals with disabilities. This newfound compassion fostered deeper connections among neighbors, as stories were shared and empathy grew. Some residents even initiated plans for adding more accessible features throughout the neighborhood, emphasizing a united front in making their community welcoming for all. The idea of beauty expanded beyond traditional aesthetics to include elements that represented support, resilience, and understanding. As discussions unfolded at local gatherings, it became clear that the ramp had not only transformed functionally but also symbolically. It encouraged vulnerability, leading to a greater appreciation for diversity and the realization that true community strength lies in embracing differences rather than adhering to rigid standards. The focus on compassion united neighbors in ways they had never imagined possible. In the end, this incident taught the community invaluable lessons about acceptance, empathy, and the importance of standing up for what is right. The vibrant blue ramp transformed from a point of contention into a powerful symbol of their collective growth. Through their journey, residents learned that a beautiful community is not solely defined by aesthetics but by its ability to embrace and support all its members. As neighbors reflected on the changes brought about by the conflict, they recognized that true harmony comes from inclusion and understanding. The once divided neighborhood began to celebrate diversity, fostering an environment where everyone felt welcome and valued. Each conversation sparked new ideas about accessibility and community responsibility, empowering residents to advocate for one another. Moreover, the experience highlighted the courage it takes to challenge prevailing norms when they conflict with fundamental rights. By standing up for their son's needs, the family inspired others to consider the implications of their beliefs and actions. As they moved forward together, the community not only healed but flourished, creating a legacy of compassion and unity. The lessons learned from this challenging experience would guide them in building a more inclusive future, reminding all that acceptance is essential for any thriving neighborhood.